The 7 houses are, as the name suggests, a group of 7 abandoned houses in Hikari City, Yamaguchi Prefecture. They can be found off Prefectural Road 23, although reaching them can be a little difficult now that nature has taken over. They're also said to be one of the most haunted sites in all of Yamaguchi. The houses were first built in the late 1970s, with only a single road connecting them to the outside world. It's unknown when exactly they were abandoned, but it was likely during the 80s, as the houses were already abandoned by the 90s, and the area gained fame as a ghost spot in the early 2000s. By this point, the structures were already falling apart. People claimed that ghosts haunted the remains of the houses, that you would be cursed if you entered. You could hear the screams of the families who once lived there, and see shadows darting around the corners if you were brave, or stupid enough, to go inside at night. But what really happened there? Why were the 7 houses abandoned? All sorts of rumours soon sprung up about these mysterious houses located deep in the forest. One of the more popular stories suggested that the families of the 7 houses suddenly vanished one day without a trace. It's unknown why, but the fact that the houses retained their lived-in look and all were found with their furniture and other household items inside was a little creepy, to say the least. Why would 7 families suddenly leave without taking anything with them? It couldn't have been for anything good. Another story says that the husband of one of the families went mad, slaughtering his family before going out and killing the rest of the families over the course of a single night. He got to them before anyone knew what was going on, and by the time they did, it was already too late. If this particular story sounds familiar, that's because it's a fairly typical tale to explain why people living in villages, or in this case a tiny collection of houses, seemingly vanish overnight. A similar theory suggests that a thief broke into one of the homes before killing the family, and then presumably killing the others to hide the evidence of his crime. This seems like a lot of trouble to go to just to rob a family, not to mention the skills and luck necessary to murder every single family before any others caught on. But it's a theory that's persisted over the years. An even more outlandish theory says that all 7 families were the subject of kamikakushi, spirited away by the gods. This would explain the lived-in look of the village and why everything was left behind. No time to bring your favourite books if an angry god is snatching you away from this plane of existence, after all. It's also been suggested that the area the 7 houses stand on now was once a graveyard, which is why the families never stood a chance. The mere act of building their homes on top of that former graveyard was enough to curse them forever. Some have even said that when travelling to the houses by car, their doors have refused to open, perhaps because of the spirits of those once buried there, trying to keep further outsiders away. The 7 houses once appeared on the TBS show Uso Japan, when popular talent and idol Aiba Masaki was forced to spend the night there alone. This propelled the site to further fame, and as more people visited the area, the more degraded it became. Several years back, one of these visitors even lit a fire, and several of the houses burnt down. On top of the arson, the wooden structures have naturally degraded over the years, and the forest has grown up and through most of what remains, meaning that, at present, little remains of the former infamous 7 houses. Bare structures can still be found in the dense jungle of foliage, but only 1 or 2 houses are in any condition to enter. The truth behind the 7 houses is, of course, a little less fantastical than the legends. In reality, the 7 houses were intended to be 10, and the entire project was aiming for a 1990 completion date. 6 houses had already been completed, and work had begun on the 7th, when the Japanese economic bubble burst, and the construction company working on the project went bankrupt. By that point, 2 families were already living in the completed houses, but the location was terrible, and with no sign that the rest of the houses would be finished, the families ended up moving away. The other 4 homes had already been bought by families that hadn't yet moved in, but because of the company's bankruptcy, nobody was quite sure who owned what anymore, so they were left abandoned, and everyone went their separate ways. Officially, the land the 7 houses stand on is still private property, so entering without permission is considered trespassing. Not that there's much to see anymore, thanks to both nature reclaiming what was once its own, and ghost hunters taking their fun a little too far. The 7 houses site is a prime example of what can happen when people get a little too carried away, and it's hardly the first site to have been burnt or destroyed by people visiting it because of ghostly rumours. There's not a whole lot left to see now, but the site persists as a ghost spot despite, or perhaps even because of, the dilapidated state it's in now. Even with the truth out there, people just can't keep themselves away. Because really, who wants to ruin a good ghost story with the pesky truth? But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.